that, just fathers being present.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely,
and fathers actually being close to their father, to their sons.
Yes, absolutely.
Unajua kuna hii question nasemanga vijana ni wa mama,
Yes,
wasichana ni wa daddy. And unakutata nyumba zingine the dad and the daughters very close.
Yeah,
The mother and the sons very close.
Yeah.
But then there are things daughters there are things sons need to learn from their fathers.
Absolutely.
Talking about mentorship the other day,
Yes.
nikiuliza mbona biashara mingi zinaanguka wakati the next generation takes over, like family businesses. And you find that fathers are not close to boys.
Absolutely.
And then the boys are supposed to inherit.
And they inherit and they
take
it down.
Wanakura mandazi proper.
Now, ukiangalia, interestingly, if you look at the Hindu community, when I was growing up, I went to a school near South Sea. And a lot of people in the Hindu community, like when watoyo wamefunga chuo, saa zile nyinyi mnaenda sijui kujibamba na mabeste au masanso au wase, they used to go with their dads to their shops. So ukienda holiday pale town unapata muhindi na sani yake. And apparently when you study in the Jewish culture, it was the same. One of the things a father was supposed to do is to train the son in the trade he was doing. That's why Jesus was a carpenter. Kwa sababu mzee wake pale ndio hiyo sasa mzee wake pale Joseph wanaingia kwa workshop pale marada fundi wa mbao tunaona.
Yes. Somebody said undakuta hata mtoto wa muhindi ni pilot. Lakini akikuja holiday mzee anaenda kutulia, anasukuma duka vizuri. And I think it starts with what I saw you doing.
Yes, and that's mentorship.
You have to create time for your sons.
Time and opportunities to bond and to teach and to also learn from them. Because we are not only raising our sons, they're also raising us.
Yeah.
Because there are things they know they can teach us, and there are things we know we can teach them. So when we create that context, it becomes a blessing.
Inakuwa normal.
Yes, inakuwa fiti kabisa.
Tuambie tu wachangamke fathers. Tutoka mahali pa kuletaga tu kiroma na unalala. Saa hizi generation ya saa hizi inataka pia kuwe very close because wako exposed to so many things. And then ile voice ya authority yenye ni yako iko missing.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. So Boni, nice seeing you. Wewe hata unafoniambia karibu, umekuwa mwenyeji more than me.
No, when ndio bosi hapa. Naweza sema karibu niambie from next Thursday don't show. Now with the light touch. But it's good to see you back and I always enjoy to just have these conversations. Yeah.
And I have to say this. Yeah. I attended your men's meeting.
Yes.
Powerful.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Powerful.
Thank you so much.
I'll recommend those meetings to any man tuned in. Follow Boni. Takuwa nakuambia na happen lini. I think it's once a month.
Once a month, every second Friday of the month. Tunakuaga pale Memorial Park Hall na wanaume. Yes. And it's always a joy to be there and to connect with men. And to share what it means to be a man and how we can be better men.
Yeah.
Yes.
What I liked the most is the prayers.
Yes.
Siku join worship leader bwana.
Ai, tunapiga prayers pale, tuna worship, alafu tunabonga. Yes. Amazing. Yes.
So Boni,
yes.
Sijui kama umepata na mtu alikwambia you are not financially stable. Nime receive calls hapa za ladies.
Story ya financial stability.
Inakaga ni kama kitu simple. Hata hao wajielezi vizuri sana. But kuna maboy child wamesafa kwa sababu ya hii term financial stable. Kwa experience yako, what does it mean wakati Galdem anakuambia you are not financial stable? Hiyo tu ndio reason mimi na wewe tuendi.
Hiyo ndio reason ya kutokwa. I think one of the things that I've come to see about our generation, and a lot of people who are young, they define financial stability as an event where you are able to give me a soft life, you are able to give me everything I want. And that's a facade. I mean, nobody becomes financially stable in a moment. In fact, rarely does any man become financially stable in their 20s or 30s. By the time you become financially stable, if you're following the right path, of course kuna wale waseupiga makona hivi. Of course there are many ways people explore to become financially stable. But if you're going to follow the way of God, it takes time. And one of the things that I would want to encourage, especially both gents and ladies to understand, financial stability is a journey. It begins with, does the person have a vision for where they are going? Because unaweza get msee mwenye kona mado, pengine ameinherit kutoka kwa mzae wake, ama kuna kitu ili happen, alishinda sports pesa, kuna wale ushinda sports pesa. And then kuna mamilioni, but jua kuwa na ile vision, na ana ability ya stewardship, then that becomes an event, right? So we are saying that financial stability, number one, we must realize that it is not having a soft life. It is having a vision that will lead you to a place where you have a certain level of establishment around you. And that's not an event. Hata mi leo siezi sema ati I am financially stable in the sense that society describes it. I'm in a journey where I'm building the disciplines, I have the vision, and I'm pursuing the wisdom to become progressively stable. All right? So being stable financially is a journey. So usiangalie msee na mali yuko sahi. Mali nilikuwa 10 years ago sio mali niko sahi. Na kuna wase wako mali walikuwa mali niko sahi na leo wamerudi nyuma. So it's about the question of, do you see the person having the vision, number one, to make financial steps forward by their disciplines, by their way of life, by their spending habits. Then number two, do you see them pursuing the wisdom to manage money? Because money loves an atmosphere of wisdom. Ukiwaipata msi ana do na ana wisdom, iyo do iko hapo in a very short-lived way. And after a few times, the money will not be there, right? So the most important thing is having the vision for financial stability, pursuing the wisdom, and being in a process of building the disciplines. Let me tell you, if you are a lady and you find a man that has those three things, you can commit to that. And if you find a man that has money and does not have those three things, you are committing to an accident that is about to happen. Yes.
So tuseme kuna watu wanaambiwa they are not financial stable, kutokwa tu for the sake of kutokwa.
Yes. Of course.
Kuna watu wanatumianga hiyo term financially stable thinking it's it's something that is right there, but it's also a journey.
Yes.
And kuna mtu pia aelewi, especially pia kuna maboy child wanajuaga do zao ndo zina win over magaldem. And I think pia wako na false
it's a false identity. Yes. Because mse si do, right? Unaweza kuwa na do. And you see, that's why I keep telling people, there's a difference between a man that has the right quantity of money and a man that has the right mindset about money. What you want is not a man that has the quantity, because quantity is a variable. Leo iko COVID inakam, unapata umelambishwa, kimekuramba, yeah? But then if you have the right mindset, and that's what the Bible keeps inviting us to, everything in life will answer to the mindset you have. Na mindset ni hizo vitu tatu nimesema. The vision you have, the wisdom you're pursuing, and the discipline you're building. One of the things that I do every day, and by the way, this will help especially majama wenye wako huko nje, I take a portion of my day, at least 30 minutes every day. I will learn something about the world of money. So I will look for somebody I admire, maybe a Warren Buffett, or, somebody that I admire whose financial position I admire, and I will take a video or take a book and just learn. You know what I'm doing? I'm building the wisdom for where I want to go. So ukipata msi ako hivo, ako na hiyo appetite ya kugrow, then that's better than msi mwenye umempata na hiyo do. Because pia ukipata msi mwenye ako na do, chances are that two things are going to happen. One, atakudharau because hakuna kitu leta kwa hiyo table. Wewe ulikuja ukapata table imetengezwa, wewe unataka kujibamba. So you are not, kuna hii word inatumwango inaitwa shareholder. I don't want to use it, but I was almost feeling like tempted to use it, yeah? If you don't contribute to the making of a man, that man will never respect you. And that's why magaldem wapunguze story ya ati nataka mse mwenye anaweza nieka na soft life. No. Get a man that has the vision and the wisdom and the discipline and build that future together. So that way, mtaweza kuwa na, hata mnaweza kurefer back, mseme, kutoka tukampa moja, kuna vile tumeweza kubuild kitu. But if you come to a house that is already built, then you can as well be kicked out of that house na utakuwa na say.
So, Boni, tusikae ni kama pia tunachangamkia boy child akaonaka kitu. Amewaka konaka kitu. Attitude yake towards relationship inafai kuwe gani?
And again, that's the other thing. When you are a man and you are inviting a lady, na already umetoboa, unacheza kiboaz pale. Unajua boaz ni mse example ya mse mwenye alikuwa actualize financially ameomoka. One of the things that you see, of course, with him, aliassess attitude ya Ruth pia, right? Because of course pia ukikuwa umeomoka, kuna wase watakuwa attracted to you not because of who you are but what you have. By the way, wasi wenye wanako ina most vulnerable place kama boy child ni wenye wameomoka. Hata si mwenye bado hajaomoka, because kama hujaomoka unaweza assess uone msee anakubeba ufala because hauna. But you know kama umeomoka kuna vile a lot of people are attracted. It's like the way we say when a flower ikishachomoka it attracts bees. The bees are not there because in fact the bees never came earlier kabla hiyo flower itokee, right? Isa zile flower imetokea ndio zinachangamkia zinakam, una get? So my point is, before you invite a lady into a relationship space, if you are loaded, assess their attitude. Are they willing to do those things if the money was not there? And that's what Boaz did. Boaz alikuwa anakaa tu anacheki attitude ya Ruth, anaona vile anaenda kwa field akiokota vitu. So when I realized the attitude of Ruth towards leftovers, alimu-invite now into the palace. All right?
Nice one.
Na hiyo ni kitu lazima majama wenye wameomoka walan kufanya.
Na kuomoka si mbaya, vijana tujitume. Mi kwanza usema kuna ma investments fulani ukipiga ukiwa single ziko very easy than wakati umemari. So kama unaweza jituma, unaweza fanya vitu 2-3, jitume.
Na the earlier unajituma the better. Because pia ukikuwa na hiyo muscle inakusaidianga sana kwa life. In fact, I usually say that when a man begins building his financial muscle, it becomes easier to build any other muscle.
Hata help akikam inakuwa ni support system moja ngori. Lakini Magaldem amesema boy pia aache kukaa kwao. Mama yake ndiye asikuwe analipa bills ama daddy. Hizo ni bare minimum amesema, hata tukiongelea story hiyo amesema hapana.
Hiyo nimeagree hata mimi, because wewe uko unalipa rent pale na unajifanya wewe ndio unatokelezea pale Java unatisha wasi ovyo ovyo. Haiwezi. So you must and let me say this, Mankaris, before you proceed. A man that has not taken responsibility for his own life cannot pretend that now he wants to be in a relationship. Because if you cannot take care of yourself, then why are you inviting somebody else to be in a life that you have not taken responsibility to take care of? So chomoka kwenyu, ukieza, ingia hustle, pambana na life, kanairo ikunyoroshe kidogo, learn what it means to be in the zone of responsibility before you seek romance. In the kingdom, it is responsibility before romance. When romance comes before responsibility, then you have a recipe for crisis.
Normal.
Yes.
Wow. Napenda topic ya leo. Ni poetic. Hata niko nasikia kutupama mistari hapa. When the heart hurts. Na aliyeko heart unamjua alikuwa anapenda hiyo heart. Now I'm going the other side. What are we talking about? I know you started this with Devi. When the heart hurts. What are we saying?
So basically what we are saying is that it is impossible to love without being hurt.
Okay.
There is no way you can have love without experiencing some form of pain. And sometimes it is created by circumstances, sometimes it's created by you, sometimes it's created by events that happen around you that put strain on you where your relationships are concerned. And we began by saying that even Jesus himself alipitia hurt. In fact, tulianza na kubonga story ya Paul, tukasema who was wiser than Paul in the New Testament other than Jesus, right? Who was more endowed with an understanding of the kingdom than Paul? But ukiangalia story ya Paul, uende pale 2 Timothy, anaongelelea juu ya pains zenye zilikam kwa hati yake, juu ya wasi alikuwa na relate now, right? Anaongea juu ya mse mmoja anaitwa Alexander the Coppersmith. Anasema huyu jamaa alinikosea. In fact, Paul was so hurt by this guy, alisema may the Lord repay him. Yani vile huyu jamaa ameniumiza, hata mimi mwenyewe, yani
kuna mali ana mentioning hata mwenye alimtoka.
Anaongea story ya Demas, right? Anasema Demas has loved the world and deserted me. So ukiangalia life yetu kwa kingdom and just generally in life, there is no way you will relate with anybody and love genuinely without being hurt. The genuineness of your love exposes you to a possibility of being hurt. And that's why we were saying, now we need to learn ni wisdom gani God ameka kwa word yake, so that tuweze kuhandle hizo vitu zenye zuleta hurt kwa hurt.
Nice one.
Nimeangusha kama mstari hapo.
Iko fiti. Tunaingia studio na wewe. Nimekuwa nikitafuta msoa mistari nimepata.
Najaribu kujisite na mistari.
So ni wisdom gani iko kwa scripture when tunaongelea conversation you had?
So in fact there's something I wanted to share last week that I think we were not able to share last week, but I'm going to share it today, and these are the 5 things that you can be guaranteed ukiwa kwa relationship yoyote, no matter how good that person is, one time or another zitaingia. And these are the 5 pains that Jesus dealt with, and you also see Paul dealing with the same pains. Pain number 1 is the pain of betrayal and rejection. Ukiangalia pale John chapter 1 and verse number 12 onwards, inasema Jesus came to his own and his own received him not. Hiyo inamaanisha nini? Hata ule mse unapenda sana, somewhere in the relationship they will reject you. And rejecting means not acclimatizing to what you desire in that moment. Relationships are a mixture of respect, responsibility and rejection. Hizo vitu tatu zoendelea zikihappen in every season of the relationship. Nikiongea na mavijana, yes, respect, responsibility and rejection. Nikiongea na mavijana, you know, like sometimes I work with mavijana wenye wanataka kumari. So sometimes I ask them a very controversial question, because a lot of guys wakiingia kwa marriage wanakuwaga ile design maybe have been pure. Sasa you know, nikiingia kwa marriage itakuwa unajua rights story ya rights morning it's 10 o'clock tea, lunch 4 o'clock tea, jioni. So a lot of guys can imagine that that's how their sexuality will be, for example, in a marriage. And then you get into a marriage and then you realize, hey, kuna vile saa ingine unapigwa stop. You know, after doing all the work, umeleta chocolate, umekam na flowers, umetokelezea pale, umepiga mpaka cologne, unajua ile cologne ya kutisha wife,
na aftershave.
Then na aftershave, you know, make sure hakuna mandevu zinadunga mse,
unanuka mwenye kinyozi.
Yes. And then and so what I'm saying is that rejection is a reality of life.
That's true.
You can be a lady and then you're in a relationship and then you are expecting every day nikupele kwa Java nini, then unaambiwa kuna rent ina come, so lazima tu deal na rent kabla tufikirie juu ya hizi vitu zingine.
So ametoka ocha kama vile nitoka home na mahindi mingi na maragwe wakajua hii ni gideri mpaka mwezi wa hili.
Yes. And probably maybe that was not the expectation earlier. So there is responsibility, there is respect, and there is also rejection in that package. So a lot of people don't think that a good relationship involves some level of rejection, but it always does. Hata God sio vile vitu zote si umwambia tupatie you to get. And sometimes it gets very frustrating because unauliza God, nimekuuliza hii kitu, mpaka una quote ma script, una try kutisha God na unaambia God in the name of Jesus. Usha imagine unatisha Jesus kitu and then unamwambia in the name of Jesus, right? You know,
we command things.
Yes,
nowadays.
We command things in the name of na ni Jesus unaambia saa hizo. Then Jesus ako heaven tu anakucheki, you know, because ujai understand that is the rhythm of relationships. You know, respect, responsibility, rejection. Those are part of the package that comes with relationship. And rejection is painful. Hakuna mse urejectiwa na ana feel poa. Pengine wife yako akikuitisha thao na umwambia hapana, sina thao na kupatia juu hiyo ndio iko sahi, ama ni mdem, you know, there is a way they will not feel good. So rejection is part of the package that comes with relationships.
Hata kuna vile hiyo thao inakunja, hiyo inakunjangwa.
Yes.
Unaona
unapiga pasi ndio.
Unaona ikunjwi kama thao. Kuna kitu. Mbona wacha tu, hiyo ilikuwa number 1. And I love what you are saying because it's factual. You know, there are also people who are really afraid of even committing because of the fear of rejection.
But it's part of it.
And as you're saying, it's part of it.
It's part of life. But either uingie kwa relationship ama usiingie, hata ukikaa single, there are still people who will reject you. So it's not avoiding it, it's finding how do I go through it in a healthy way. Yes.
Tutapige bill hapa alafu tukuje tuendelee.
Okay.
Alright.
Experience the hope, the music, the anointing. This is Hope FM, where you listen and live.
Shajara ya biashara na Dolly Mwirigi.
Ujambo. Serikali imetangaza mipango ya kuanzisha shirikisho la kitaifa la nyama ya ng'ombe ambalo litakuwa na malisho 4 hadi 5 katika kaunti 29. Haya ni kwa mujibu wa waziri wa vyama vya ushirika Simon Chelugui. Chelungwe amesema kuwa shirikisho hilo pia litakuwa na jukumu la kutafuta masoko ya nyama ya ng'ombe, kuratibu uchinjaji na ujumlishaji wa vyama, pamoja na kuwezesha usafirishaji kama vile KPC hufanya kwa kahawa na KTDA hufanya kwa chai. Chelungwe pia alifichua kuwa serikali iko katika mazungumzo na Benki ya Dunia kufadhili mpango huu kupitia shirika la maendeleo ya Kenya KDC na Wizara ya Mifugo. Na kwingineko ni kwamba mamlaka ya usafiri wa majini nchini Kenya imejitolea kutunza ekari 25 za ardhi kwenye ufuo wa Kilifi kwa mti wa mikoko katika juhudi za kurejesha misitu na kuimarisha uhifadhi wa mazingira katika kaunti hiyo. Mpango wa Kenya unajiri kama sehemu ya juhudi za kukuza mazoea endelevu katika sekta ya bahari na pia unasaidia juhudi za serikali kuhifadhi mazingira nchini. Akizungumza wakati zoezi la upandaji miti katika eneo la Kidundu Mtongaji Creek mjini Kilifi, mkurugenzi mkuu wa KMA John Omingo amefichua kuwa kati ya ekari 25 wameweza kufikia ekari 5 za ardhi. Aidha, alisema mamlaka hiyo itashirikiana na serikali na wanajamii kupanda na kutunza mikoko hiyo. Ni hayo tu kwa sasa. Ni Dolly Mwewiki Mbuvi.
Shajara la biashara.
Hope FM, another quality service from Christ, is the answer ministry.
Santiri kande makambo mukiliza la Ozanga mbongo, ozanga benediction, moko la suka nzambo ya biso moko abenirio. Awe.
Hata wakupige mawe, sio kote mawe, uijenge nyumba, foundation iwe baba. Hata wakupige mawe, sio kote mawe, uijenge nyumba, foundation iwe baba. Hata babetio mabanga, lokota mabanga wanayotonga na ngondako. Hata babetio mabanga, kota na bangote, Zambia zamona. Yesu azabomoi, na motema nanga, na yebina kolonga. Yesu ndiye uzima, maishani mwangu, najua nitashinda.
Hata wakupige mawe, sio kote mawe, uijenge nyumba, foundation iwe baba. Hata wakupige mawe, sio kote mawe, uijenge nyumba, foundation iwe baba. Watakusema, watakuchonga, mama usife moyo. Maneno yao, matendo yao, mwachie Mwokozi. Wache mimi nitangaze neno la Bwana, sio wakaze mengia. Neno la baba yangu, wache mimi nitangaze neno la Bwana. Neno la nani? Neno la baba yangu. Mawe, sio kote mawe, uijenge nyumba, foundation iwe baba. Hata wakupige mawe, sio kote mawe, uijenge nyumba, foundation iwe baba.
Maboko makasi bona Yesu. Maboko makasi. Applaudissez très très fort pour Jésus-Christ. Wapi mikono ya Yesu. Un changement de fréquence.
Yuko na mimi,
yuko na wewe,
yuko na sisi, Emmanueli. Yuko na mimi,
yuko na wewe,
yuko na sisi, Emmanueli.
Zambayo, azamo konzie. Yesoyo ya Yerusalema, azamo konzie. Yadio ne papa Denise, boku misanzambe. Rigene sankosi sadate muindi, filo
Swish
That is Daddy Owen and the late Papa Denise there, Foundation. Bonnie, does that make sense? Akirusha mawe
Jenga foundation fund.
chorogota hiyo
You're the
mawe.
part of kudeal na rejection, bro.
Like you know, like use it, utilize it.
Absolutely.
Utilize the hate that
Yes,
comes your way.
yes,
Wacha
yes,
iko motivate. Wakikwambia wewe you're not financial stable.
Yes.
Hii unarudi ground sasa. Wacha kusema I'm rejected. Then the next thing tunasikia unatuandikia barua ati duniani kwa heri and stuff. Like any negative thing that comes your way. And actually even look at the life of Joseph. I love what Joseph said. No, when the brothers were like, manze, tunaona mzaya akienda umse anaweza tutesa. And he was like, you meant it for bad, manze, but God meant it for good. Yeah, I think wacha kukaa ukisema wewe ulirogwa, unashinda ukirudi reserve kuuliza kuna babu mgani sijanunulia kuku. Bana. Just a change of attitude. So but we're talking about when the heart hurts.
Yes.
Mesema unatuambia vitu 5.
Tumesema rejection kwanza inaumizanga sana.
Rejection in reality.
It's a reality. And by the way, part of what we were talking about earlier, when somebody tells you are not financially stable, it could also be interpreted as a form of rejection. There are people who want to reject you.
Like that.
Lakini wataki kuambia straight up, anapiga makona and then anapata ile narrative yenye anafind itaweza ni, bro, you are not financially stable, right? And stability is something that is built over time, right? And so we said rejection is one of the realities that you will face. That hurts the heart. The other one, number 2, and this is very common in every relationship, misunderstanding. There is no relationship that does not involve misunderstanding. That's why even one of the oldest books in the Bible, the book of Job, says ile Job alianza kupigwa character development pale. You know, Job chapter 1 begins with Job, the successful man. And by the way, this is why, especially, and that narrative of, and I don't know why I feel like I want to just stay there a little bit, that narrative of financial stability is what made Job's wife to actually say to Job, huyu God mwenye anatanga vitu poa na saya ametuletea ngori, huyu ni God mgani? And you see the words that Job used. Job said that this woman is a foolish woman. Because when you are wise, you don't use finances as the only rate card of somebody else's life.
Nice.
You look at other aspects of their lives. And the aspects that you look for are internal, not external. Because Job lost everything that you could call external. And that's why that narrative of saying, you know, somebody is not, then needs to be put in the context of who are they on the inside, not just what they don't have on the outside. Who are they on the inside? So number 2 is misunderstanding. And misunderstanding means exactly that. You miss to understand the person. So you begin to judge them or to criticize them based on a false understanding that you have that does not take into full account the other aspects of that context, right? So misunderstanding yo umasana. I don't know whether ushaifanyia msee kitu poa or you did something for somebody you love out of a clean heart, a clear motive, and then manze akasema kitu kona ameku misunderstand. You remember that pain, yeah?
Nauma.
Yes.
Unaweza fanya nianze kububujika na machozi hapa. I relate.
Being misunderstood is something Jesus went through when he was doing miracles. The same people he was doing miracles for, within that same community, there were people who were saying, what? Ujamaa anacast out demons in the name of Beelzebub. They were misunderstanding his success. And by the way, there are 2 times you'll be most likely to be misunderstood. When you're succeeding and when you're failing.
Wow.
When you're succeeding, there are people who will not wish you well. They will misunderstand you. When you're failing, there are people who will misunderstand why you're failing. Like the friends of Job, they misunderstood the whole season Job was going through. Wanakaa wanamwambia, hey, Job na we, nikaa kuna vile umedisobey God.
Kuna secret sin mahali.
Yes. I talked to a gentleman many years ago. Ujamaa walikuwa in an amazing relationship that was headed into marriage with a lady that loved God. So the guy loved God passionately. The lady loved God passionately. One day the lady just wakes up and decides she's no longer interested in the man. And some guys around the gentleman were starting to tell him, hey, by the way, Kwani, what did you do? You know, sometimes people try to imagine you must have done something wrong for you to be where you are. I have seen it even where marriages have broken, right? You find somebody accusing the other person and saying, we kuna kitu hukufanya. They don't understand that human beings are human beings. Mzee anaweza amka leo a decide, by the way, I'm tired of you, Mankaris, and you know, I don't want to be your friend anymore. And not because of anything that you did, but now that opens the door for people misunderstanding you. And when people misunderstand your heart, it will hurt you.
I get you.
Yes. So that's number 2 reason why the heart can hurt. Number 3, and this is, by the way, very common, is hostility. Just somebody just decides to be hostile against you. Ushe realize kuna wasi kwa life watakuchukia for no reason. Aujaduia msi kitu, hata ujai muongelesha, maybe you try to do the best when you're around them, but they just choose to do you harm.
Wanasemanga damu ilikataa.
Yes.
Damu yangu ilikukatanga.
Kuna vile damu yangu na yake hazisikizanagi. And I think this is what Paul was addressing when he's talking about Alexander the coppersmith. But I think I just need to read that verse because it brings out the pain that Paul was feeling in his heart because venye ujamaa alimtreat. Look at what it says, yeah? This is 2 Timothy chapter 4 verse 14. Inasema, Alexander the coppersmith showed me much harm. Atujambua Paul alifanyia ujamaa.
Lakini ni much harm.
Na coppersmith, by the way, it's amazing that he even describes the job ujamaa alikuwa anafanya. You know, sema, that this specific guy, he did me much harm. The Lord will reward him according to his deeds. Which means there are certain things that Alexander the coppersmith alifanyia Paul that were very painful to Paul. Paul akafika place akasema, manze, God, you are the only one who can repay this guy the way he's done to me. So there are people who will just be hostile to you for no good reason of anything you've done. And that's why you must become aware of that in life. And the more you are aware of some of these doors that can usher you into a place where your heart is painful, then now we can begin to find the wisdom of God on how to navigate this, how to manage ourselves, how to make sure we don't become bitter people, negative people, cynical people. You know, wale wase wamekuwa na a hardened heart because they've not been able to process the pain they've gone through. By the way, pain never leaves you where it found you. It makes you better or bitter based on the choice that you make at that moment. Yeah. So if somebody misunderstands you, you can become better or bitter. If somebody betrays you, if somebody hates you for no good reason, you can make a deliberate choice that either I will rise because of this, or you can become bitter. And when you become bitter, you lose.
Sadly.
Yes. God doesn't lose. The person that you're being bitter against doesn't lose. You end up being the greatest loser. And the reason why this conversation is important is because where your heart remains after it's been hurt determines whether God has won or you've allowed the enemy to win and make you a loser.
That's a powerful statement.
Yes. So, tumesema story ya number 1, rejection. Tukaongea about
misunderstanding na hostility.
There's another thing that happens that can really hurt your heart. It's called broken trust. Uli trust mse, and I've seen this happen so many times, and the person that you trusted violates your trust. And that can be in many ways. Nowadays, story ya social media imeleta sana story ya broken trust. Because unapata saa ingine hata mna date na mse, lakini ukienda kwa chat zake hata akubalingi access chat zake, kwa sababu zile vitu utaona hapo wewe mwenyewe utashindwa.
Hiyo ni conversation nyingine noma. Si understanding personally, mimi waga sienda kwa simu za watu. Lakini kuna venye pia mimi ushangaa sana hiyo kuna mtu anaweza turn violent within a second.
Absolutely. Because betrayed trust is the highest form of disrespect. When you trust me, Mankaris, and then I betray your trust, maybe nilikama hapa kwa studio and then ukaniambia kitu sensitive, and then nika invite you studio ingine, nikaenda kuanza kukuanika. To betray trust it shows that I don't even respect you. By the way, betraying trust shows that you have lost respect in 3 angles. You don't respect God because, first of all, when somebody trusts you, it is a way that reflects your relationship with God. Number 2, it shows that you don't respect yourself. And then number 3, it shows that you don't respect that other person.
Wow.
And that's why, and I like what you've said. Of course, we are not saying that you can police somebody na uende uangalie simu yake, but it should not be that huo jamaa ameka, or that person that ameka vitu zake, akona a private life somewhere that you are out of bounds, and yet they expect a close relationship.
It should not be a do or die kind of situation.
Yes.
Like you guys can be laughing at a labda wife amechukua simu. Angalie saa. Ameshika tu hiyo simu, the next thing.
Text ikaingia pale ndani.
Hata ni simu anaangalia tu saa. Wewe na wewe on the other side
umeshikanare.
Sasa ushadhani ameingia sijui wapi. The next thing ni mavijiko na masufuria zinaenda the other side.
Na mapani zina fly all over the place, makaps. And you see, that's the thing. One of the things that I tell people, and this is important to understand, if you are afraid of scrutiny, you're not trustworthy. Kama msia hizi shika simu yako, then inamaanisha there is something about you that has already betrayed their trust. Ama umeweka password kama 20 kwa simu yako. Na maybe mko in a relationship with somebody, it's headed towards commitment and what have you. What we are saying is that when you have transparency and you have integrity and you have honor for the people you relate with, you will not betray their trust. But here is the thing. In life, it happens.
Boni, naweza connect hii point na hiyo ya misunderstanding.
Absolutely.
Kwa sababu unaona ina open room ya misunderstanding. Kwa sababu if you cannot if hii nini yangu ni personal that ukiguza naweza kuua. It's personal, of course. Like it's mine.
Of course.
But then me and you have a relationship. There's something bigger here that no, it's not personal.
That's it.
Then if it becomes a rule that unajua iwezekani hapa ni no goes on, then misunderstandings zinaweza.
Absolutely.
And even mindset inaanza kwa nini anaongea na nani ama ni nini na kuanga hivi. And I find kwanza boy child sana na maloans hizi za simu. Watu wanapigania sana hizo vitu. Because now somebody's wondering kwani kunaenda aje. And wewe ni kuficha pia unaficha. Wife asijue ulishika tao mbili mahali ama girlfriend asijue uko na loan ya app fulani. Inaleta a lot of misunderstanding.
Na hizo misunderstanding, they create a lot of pain and hostility in relationships. And one of the things we are telling people, and let me just encourage all people who are listening to us, live in such a way that you hide nothing and you have nothing to hide. Okay? Don't worry about the other person. Begin with you. Because by the way, umesema, story ya mistrust na misunderstanding, they are very related. And a lot of mistrust breeds from misunderstanding.
Man.
Yes? So that's why we are saying, and these are things that can happen to anyone. Right? Story ya mistrust inaweza ingia relationship in a second. Even when you've trusted each other for years, just one action can flip that conversation. Na upate sasa, hiyo relationship ime open a door to pain. Msi anaanza kuumia peke yake. Of course kuna wase wanaumiaga na wanaongea and they're able to resolve the issue, but kuna wase pia wanakucheki and then wanakanyagia. So and then sasa anaanza kumonitor behavior zako, then anything you do that he does not understand anainterpret na hiyo lens. So unaona mistrust inaendelea kuongezeka.
Kweli.
Right?
Kweli kabisa.
Maybe simu ililia ukaenda ukaichukua ukaenda kuongelelea na hapo ndani, you know. Now every time unachukua phone, macho yake iko kwako. So unaona ashaanza kubuild narrative ndani ya mind yake, na pain sasa inaendelea kucompound because mistrust huleta pain, a lot of pain. And I cannot tell you anything that brings pain in a relationship than broken trust.
Man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
They that trust.
Yes. Now, by the way, that's why
trust is also a big deal to God.
It is.
It's a big deal.
And that's why one of the reasons why God is called holy is because he's trustworthy.
Nice.
What he says he does, and what he says he means, and what he says he can never back up on. He says it, it's his word. He's trustworthy.
So naangalia conversation from a human being, Boni.
Yes.
And hapa nitajiseti kidogo.
Yes, yes.
Kwa sababu sisi manze, sisi ni watu, hearts zetu kwanza ni very...
Yes.
Tukipata opportunity tutaenda kwa mangori tu.
Absolutely.
Tutaenda kwa scene.
Yes, yes.
And what I'm getting from what you are saying, manze, hakuna kumanuva world ya relationship bila God.
Hakuna.
Because there's nothing that is possible. All those things umesema,
Yes,
there's hakuna kitu yangu ndani yangu kama Karis yenye ni possible.
Yes.
Inanifanya nikuwe na power ya kuovercome hizi vitu.
Absolutely.
Ama kumanuva world ya relationship yenye hizi vitu ni reality. Not even a possibility, ni reality.
Yes. Reality.
Then it actually brings us closer to why we need
And this
God.
is why the world of relationships cannot work when God is not a factor.
Wow.
Because kuna vitu mbili God uleta. Now, as we continue this conversation, you will see how now God fits into the whole picture. Kuna vitu mbili God utupatia. Number one, truth and grace. For example, if somebody has broken your trust, what is the only way you can continue relating with them? You give them grace.
Man.
They don't deserve it, but unaambia, hey, man Karis, manze ume break trust yangu, but I am willing to risk on you to extend grace. And you know what grace is? Grace is giving somebody a favor they don't deserve. And you see, the only way you can do that consistently is if God is on the radar, right? I mean, think about if somebody betrays you. Think about Jesus living with Judas, knowing that Judas will betray him, but still Jesus anamweka kwa disciple. Na si ati hakukuwa na wase wengine wapoa kuliko Judas, kulikuwa na wase wa true. But Jesus decides, hey, let me have this guy over here. In the team, how was Jesus relating with Judas on a daily basis? And this guy was going to betray him. It is because he was full of grace. Grace. All right? So, tunasema, one of the factors, by the way, inasaidianga the hurting heart is the grace of God. Na hiyo grace, huwezi ipata bila two things, humility and faith. Faith that God will make things better, and humility to actually say, I'm going to do my part as God wants me to do.
I think hiyo ni part C ya hii conversation.
Yes.
tulikuwa kwa heart.
Yes,
number 5.
Yes.
Ama tumeongelea ine.
Yes.
There's one.
So kuna ingine moja. So tumeongelelea. So let me say the last one, by the way. And this one is an important one. And it's closely related to misunderstanding. It is called false accusation. And false accusation is, again, who can live in life and not have a false accusation like Joseph? Okay. You cannot navigate your way through life without having somebody that will accuse you falsely for something you did not do. And it is more painful when it is somebody that you love that is accusing you falsely. And by the way, this is a principle that works in all relationships. In the workplace, kuna mse anaweza kuwa anatakaga position yako, they accuse you falsely. At home unaweza pata maybe kuna ngori ya family, kuna mse amedai, kuna inheritance, sijui nini. Mse accuse falsely because of interest. And this is why the Bible tells us the heart of man is desperately wicked. By the way, ukiangalia the 10 commandments, one of the commandments is do not bear false witness. Because there is nothing as painful, man Karis, kama niende nianzishe story yako huko hivyo mahali
Manze.
Na si ukweli.
Unaingia mahali watu wanakujua hata zaidi ya vile unajijua.
Ukiingia mahali unapata wase washakuperceive in a certain way, but it's because somebody falsely accused you. And all these things are things that you find Jesus went through, Paul went through, right? So we are saying that in relationships, being hurt is inevitable, but being bitter is optional. Unaona hizo vitu tumesema ni inevitable. Hauwezi pita through life na uhate.
Like ziko.
Yes. Utahata pengine kuna moja haikujangi kwa life yako, lakini kuna zenye zote kuandama.
Hata tukiongea hivi huko kuna tu mtu ako kwa moja. Kuna moja tu imegonga tu hapo akasema hapa ndio mimi nipo.
Either misunderstanding, broken trust, you know, it comes and it's like a hand. You know, one of them will come at you.
Man.
Right? So you cannot decide which one and you cannot decide when.
When the heart hurts.
Yes.
I think we've tackled what we were to tackle today.
Yes.
You mentioned these 5 things.
Yes.
And, your conversation is live on Facebook. And a lot of people are loving this conversation. I see my good friend Kabetu Samuel say the kind of wisdom here. And say, somebody loving, huyu anasema Sena, so, anasema anapenda hiyo Kiboaz example mepeana.
Yes.
Ya kuomoka story.
Yes.
Somebody anaitwa Philip anasema beautiful teaching there. Quantity is variable. Amesema hiyo ni quotable quote.
Yes.
Utatuona tukitweet. Alafu tuseme from you.
Yes.
Boni, before I let you go. There is one here ameandika.
Yes.
Kwanza tumekubaliana Boychild wajitume. Hakuna discussion big hapa.
Yes.
Boychild wajitume.
Yes.
Kuna huyu ameandika hapa hivi. I'm done with life. I need your advice of hope. Boni, nataka uonge na mtu kaa huyu. Kuna mmoja hapa kunaweza kuwa wengi out there. Just speak hope. Something anaweza sema nachanishikilia.
So let me encourage them and let me just probably read a scripture just to encourage them. Kuna by the David, David is one of my favorite characters in the Bible because tukiangalia life ya David atuoneshangu tu ma conquest na ma victories, tunashoiwangwa life ya umse akiwa in his most vulnerable spaces. Times ako discouraged, ako distressed, amelemwa tu na life mpaka anasikia manze, I don't feel like I have what it takes to go on. Ukisoma Psalm 61 verse 2 to 4, I love what he says, and I want to just use this to encourage our listener that there is a place in God we can go and find the strength to go on when we feel we are at our end. Na Bible inasema hivi, David alipray akasema, when my heart is overwhelmed, which means he was actually admitting there are times in life you will feel, hey, manze, I don't have what it takes to go on. The stress is too much, the pressure is too much, the depression is weighing on me, the darkness has bombarded me. But David anasema, when my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. Amen. In other words, there is always a place in God we can run to. And when we go to that rock, we find God lifting us, we find God encouraging us, we find God giving us the grace to go on.
Amen.
I like saying that there is no corner you can find yourself that you cannot go to this place. When my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. Wow. So I just want to encourage this listener to understand that manze, kama God yuko, there is still hope in life. Kama God yuko na yuko, there is still grace that is available. You don't have to be like a glass yenye ikifall kwa floor ina crashingi. You can be like a rubber ball. Unajua rubber ball, tulikuwa tunacheza tennis tukiwa wadogo. Ilikuwa hiyo tennis ukiangusha chini ina bounce back. And that's one of the things God gives us, the ability to bounce back in life when we tap on his grace, tap on his word, and tap on his hope. Amen. So we just want to speak hope to that brother or sister or whoever it is and tell them there is grace available in God. Amen. To lift them from that dark corner and to give them a reason not only to have hope but to be a reason for other people's hope. So God atamlift, God atambless, na God atampatia grace ya kuendelea na life. Yes.
Powerful.
Yes.
Powerful.
Yes.
Kuna Boychild hapo amesaidia. Nasema alikuwa heartbroken jana. Na girlfriend yake alimu heartbreak jana.
Yes.
But anasema I've learned a lot. I will handle my issues with her.
Amen.
Also somebody here writing, asking about gentleman here, a lady, anasema there's this gentleman I was dating. I think I will forward this. We will tackle it next week. Okay. Boni, thank you for coming through, manze. I don't have words to say asante. You've become a brother here.
Always
I consider I have a big bro in Boni.
Asante.
Na kesho Boni nitakuwa ground, naenda Huruma grounds.
Nimeona utakuwa pale na Mr. Eko Dida.
Show iko grounds, niko very excited. Mimi napenda hizo mavitu sana. So I'm really excited about that. And I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who has given on the Rafiki Mso initiative, because it's because of that such possibilities. Such partnering that we are able to do shows like that. And before nitoke pia sitaki pia nitoke kama sijapatia mtu another opportunity ya kupartner na sisi. We have Rafiki Mso, #Rafiki Mso. And we have 100 for 1. 100 for 1 here is 100 bob for 1 soul. And in maths tumefanya, when it comes to the frequencies we want to acquire, the targets we have, we've been running with this. We'll run with this until January. And hopefully we get to launch what these contributions takuwa zimetusaidia kufanya. So before I leave here, and maybe you want to partner with us, you want to become a #Rafiki Mso, or you want to give towards this initiative ya 100 for 1, go to your M-Pesa, alafu enda kwa lipa na M-Pesa. Ukifika pale, the paybill number is 933933. That is 933933. Then kwa account weka Friends of Hope or FOH. If you're two, then from there you can put 100 bob, you can put 200 bob, you can put what is in your heart. Then tutakuwa tunashukuru sana sana for being a Rafiki Mso. Boni, we already when Rafiki Mso.
Asante.
Nashukuru sana manze. God ako bless.
So much.
Kuna mtu hapa anasema tu recap hizo 5 things zenye zita hurt mtu mbio.
Yes.
Just kuna tulianza na gani? Tulianza na betrayal, tukaenda kwa hostility,
yes,
tumeenda kwa misunderstanding, broken trust.
Yes.
Na hii ya mwisho tumeongelea ni false accusations. Ndio. Yes. Asante Boni. God bless you.
Thank you so much.
Listen and live on 93.3 FM in Nairobi, 93.9 Western Kenya, and 101.9 Mombasa.